Hello. In this video, I'm going to practice winner variation.
Yeah, but what is winner variation? It's a subset of algorithms which allows you to solve your last F2L pair and OLL at the same time, as long as the pair is pre-made and you have all of your edges oriented. I know full winner variation for cases where you insert the pair into the front right, the front left, and the back right. Now I'm about to explain a very inefficient way of practicing winner variation, but it's what I did at first, so I have to.
The way that I do it is I have ZB last layer selected in CS timer. So whenever I scramble the cube, I will always get a ZBLL case. Then I will take out an F2L pair and do an AUF. This will allow me to practice winner variation from multiple angles and AUFs. So first I'm going to do an average of 12 for each case. Then I will do 50 solves for each case and see if any improvement takes place. And then the average of the whole thing was 3.84. So that is what I currently average for winner variation, recognition, execution, and then PL.
However, from now on, we will use the mean, not the average, to track our progress, because I eventually switched to using a training website that only tracks the mean. The difference between mean and average is, the average doesn't count a certain percentage of the worst and best solves, whereas the mean does.
I'm now going to practice alternative recognition.
So I've always recognized winner variation by looking at the top layer, which requires looking at 4 different sides of the cube. It's physically impossible to look at both the right and left sides at the same time, so this recognition method is not ideal. What I wanted to do in this video was switch to a recognition method which requires looking at just 3 sides, which you can do more quickly than 4 sides. This recognition method requires you to look at the orientation of this corner. It can either be on the front, right, or bottom. Since I had never used this recognition method, it was going to take a while for me to learn it and get it up to the same speed as 4-sided recognition. So here I started working on 3-sided recognition for front right cases.
You have this when this corner is facing down. You have this case, which is this. If it's facing downward, you have this.
At this point, I realized that there was a much better website called TrainU that I could use to practice. It would allow me to randomize AUF and even input specific algs to practice. For a while after this, I had the website settings set up in a state that caused every solve to have a PLL skip. This plus the fact that I stopped including recognition time in my solves meant that for a short while my times were averaging around 1.9.
Instead of looking at these 3 sides, I think I can just look at this and this to recognize the winner variation. Oh, I think it is impossible because there are 2 cases where there is no block here and this corner is not visible. There's a case where the white piece is here and the white piece is here, and then there's a case where the white piece is here, and in both cases it's invisible to you technically unless you were to look at it with the 3-sided recognition. So gosh dang. And besides, it would be impossible to recognize it from this angle, wouldn't it? Because you couldn't tell if this corner is facing to the right or facing down. I think it's literally impossible to recognize it from this angle right here. In which case, oh my god, this sucks. Oh! Oh no! Oh no! Okay, I just realized something. So basically, I'm gonna need change of plan here. Okay, not change of plan. I'm just gonna divert my attention to something else, which is still related to this project. So it's fine. Let's just do this. This is the last one I'm going to do. Facing to the right. This is kind of like not a meaningful statistic because like almost every single one had a PLL skip because of the way this website works, but I mean it was 1.95. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to do back right, which this website does not have, which is so fun, so what I'm going to have to do is FL instead. I'm going to select FL, and then I'm going to do a Y2 after every single scramble. But the problem here is that I don't think this is even possible to recognize it from the back using only these three sides. So let me try to see if that is the case.
After working on this for hours, I finally found a winter variation case that could not be recognized from these three sides just by looking at the top color and the permutation of these 5 corners. So at this point, I gave up on 3-sided recognition for the back right cases and went back to practicing it for the front right cases.
Okay, I've made a very large amount of progress on recognition for the front right cases. So I'm now just going to do a session on CS Timer of only front right cases. So in order to avoid having to manually do the AUF myself, I'm actually going to do the session on this thing here. But instead of what I've been doing, I'm going to select use real scrambles and scramble subsequent steps.
This would mean that I wouldn't get PLL skips every solve now. And since I would be including recognition in the time again, this session would be comparable to my original session, which had a mean of 3.95.
And I will only be able to look at the mean. We will just do a session of that, including inspection, and just see what the average is after. Alright, I'm done with winter variation practice for today. I was only practicing front right. I did 691 attempts, and then the average or mean was 5.14.
So on this day, I actually made a list of algorithms which only included cases where it was absolutely necessary to use 3-sided recognition. These were cases where you could not see 2 sides of this corner. This would force me to use 3-sided recognition for every solve, which would help me learn it faster. Doing this naturally results in the mean of subsequent sessions being slower.
I'm going to practice some more. Yes, I'm done for today. So the total for today was 1,636 solves, and the mean is 5.27. So it was going down quite a bit near the end until like the last 10 solves, and then the last 10 solves were really bad, so I decided to just stop. The goal is to just get that down to like sub 4 to get it down to where it was before. I wish I could improve on what my previous recognition was, but now I'm just struggling to get it back down to where it was. Okay, I'm actually going to stop here for today. I've done 1,071 solves. The average is 4.69.
But then I changed my mind and decided to practice some more.
I'm doing the front left mean of 100 now.
So I had to input algs for the front left cases. This was pretty easy because I could just insert all the algs into this website, push the mirror button, and then copy these and put them into the trainer.
I have the same problem with front left that I do have with front right because...
Then I gave an explanation, but I will explain it here instead. Wow. So I ultimately decided to give up on 3-sided recognition because the way I solve the cube, whenever I finish doing a right-handed algorithm, my cube is naturally tilted this way. But if I want to use 3-sided recognition, I need it to be tilted this way. And this problem also applies to the front left cases. So yep, this whole thing was a waste of time.
Anyways, if you were curious, I did 39 solves. The mean was 8.04.
So on this day, I looked for some better winner variation algorithms to learn, as well as some algorithms that I already use but need better finger tricks for. I just finished searching for better algorithms. Now I'm going to test the alternate algorithms to choose which ones to choose. Nice job. I just finished coming up with my final list of algs to learn or practice. Wow, that was fun. Let's see how quickly I can learn those algs. The way I learned them was I would put 2 of the algs into the trainer, then practice them for a while, then delete them and put the next 2 algs in, and repeat this process until I had learned all of them. I went through every algorithm and I know how to do all of them now, so I'm gonna input all of them into the trainer and practice all of them. I'm actually gonna do 200 solves, so I'm actually gonna reset this session here. The session was 192 solves, average 5.64. I'm gonna reset that. I'm gonna input all of the algorithms and then I'm gonna do 200 solves, and then that'll be it basically for this video. The mean of 200 was 5.17. My plan after this was to do 200 practice solves with the new algs every day until I had mastered them, and then do the same thing but with all of my winner variation algs. 200 solves per day for a period of time, maybe 2 weeks or something. That brings us to the end of this video. I will probably make a follow-up video in a few weeks to show if I made any progress. Any feedback on this video would be much appreciated. Goodbye.